Hey everyone, it's been a little while since my last video, probably about 4 weeks I think. Um, it's good in a way because it's when I'm not bugging everybody, and also it's given. I'm not doing the day after reactions, seeing things a little differently. Now they are 5-1, beating a Carolina team on the road Thursday night for everyone to see. Both teams with a lot of injuries, so I don't want to hear the Carolina injury thing. Eagles losing many players also. Um, But this team at this level, playing together the way they are, it's a very special team. You've seen it before with, not too often, but certain teams in this city coming together. 93 Phillies. They weren't the most talented team, but they played more as a team and had each other's backs. Those guys are still hanging out together, except, Schilling and Kruk and Dykstra and Mitch Williams. But for the most part, those guys all talk very well of each other. Um, and they were a special unit that year. They really were. So, I'm not saying that the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl, but the uh, the ingredients are right there. You see, Torrey Smith, guy struggled a little bit. Comes out on Twitter last week, saying, basically apologizing, saying that to stay with him, that he's going to turn things around. He comes back, gets a touchdown, looks beautiful. He looks back on track. And the cool thing about that, when he scored that touchdown, a hard-fought touchdown, and takes the knee and said his little prayer, the guys just waited for him. They were there. They respected him. They let him go. And then they did one of the kick-ass celebrations in the NFL this year with the home run for Mike Trout, which was pretty cool. But with that, Wentz is always the third or fourth guy into that pile after a touchdown. His enthusiasm has got to be contagious for that team. He plays like a, even though he's a second-year player, he still plays like a young kid, which is fantastic. Which, the city is definitely fallen in love with him there, as well as they should. He battles, dropping the shoulder at the goal line. Granted, it probably wasn't the smartest play for your star quarterback to do, but he's not backing down. So it's pretty cool stuff there. But just them as a unit. Marigold's going down the other day, and the whole team, special teams guy, the whole team coming out, respecting him, coming out, high-fiving him and stuff, shaking him, hoping he would be all right as he walked off the field. I said it during that game, and I know a couple other people did too. I know the Eagles' mama, she said something about the team being a unit, playing as one. I know that was their motto a couple years ago with Lori. And it sure seems like they're back to that point where good things could happen from this squad. Not that I want to get emotional, but I could see where people do. Like when Elliott kicked that 61-yarder and his ump was at the game, and he's talking about crying and stuff. I could see that. I'm not going to rip on the Zomp too much. No, not at all. But no, I could see that emotion come out. This early in the season, it could be very interesting come playoff time with this squad. Doug's taking a lot of heat. Didn't think he was qualified to coach. I thought it was just going to be like a favor to Andy Reid when Lurie hired him. He's got these guys playing as one. They obviously believe in him. They play for him. They must love the guy because they work their asses off. Peters, a great leader. Sproul's going down. They just picked it up. Smallwood wasn't there. Clement stepped in. They're calling the right plays for Blunt because he looks like a goddamn beast. Hitting guys straight up and still getting yards. The game plans look good. It's going to be very interesting to see how they finish out. I was talking to Tony Bruno during Luigi's Funkin' Fantasy podcast Thursday night. He was saying 11-5, which he said before on his podcast. And it looks very doable at this point at 5-1. I can't see where they don't unless barring some major injury or something like that. They should get that definitely. Dallas, this whole thing with Zeke, it's still going to be a distraction. The Giants are done, and Washington Monday night, the crowd alone is going to be absolutely amazing. They're going to be juiced up. If they're taking over other stadiums, Monday Night Football is just going to be insane. Players have got to be feeding off of that a little bit too when you go on a road game, and there's thousands of Eagles fans there, which has always been going, attending games, but taking over LA, being down in Carolina, Those guys got to see it. They got to appreciate that, definitely. And I just really want to know with Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith and Long, these new guys that came over to expecting, I'm sure those guys already hear Philadelphia fans this and that, but to show up on a road trip and have that many fan base, that much of the fan base there, being supportive, being loud, it's got to be an incredible feeling for them. Almost treat it like a home game. So I don't know. I think they got a good chance. I love how they're using Ertz with those underplays. I know Luigi said it during his Funkin' Fantasy podcast that he picked Jeffrey early. He thinks he's going to be a second half guy, and it sounds good because once Aguilar, what a huge comeback year for him. He looks like a totally different player. Granted, when he catches the ball, he runs like hell because he does not want to get hit, and I thought that was his problem last year. He was too worried about getting hit, seeing where the contact was coming, which he took his eye off the ball a little bit. I don't think it was so much his hands. I think it was just him not wanting to get hit. What an incredible burst of speed that guy's got. I don't give a shit why he's running that fast. If he's afraid to get hit or not, it's even better. He catches the ball, run like hell, don't get hit. But he's having an incredible year. Torrey Smith coming across, running out patterns with him. That's going to be huge. And then use Alshon later on to as teams start adjusting to Aguilar and Smith. And, if Ertz gets his underpasses and breaks some, that's fine too. It's going to be very interesting to see how this team goes. It just doesn't seem like many defenses have answers for them. The one thing I do see, and Wentz does get hit a little bit. It takes a little bit of time sometimes to see that play not develop, and it's not there, where he's either got to take off, be the aggressor, and run, which I don't really advise him to do that much, or just dump the pass off and live for another play. Because those hits he took a ton of hits last year for many reasons, with Lane Johnson being out and everything else. But it's very interesting to see what's going to happen with this team. And if Wentz stays in there, delivers the ball like he's been doing, throwing some deep passes that look pretty decent, this team could go pretty far. And it would be really nice to see because, one, the team, the city needs it. They need to get back into playoff football, especially, with the other three sports picking it up. The Sixers got a lot of energy behind them. Flyers, actually, I got a Flyers sweatshirt on today. And, the Phillies making their moves. It's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen in this city. Get back to the old late 70s, early 80s days where all four teams were in championships and making playoffs, where you see a lot of those people not agreeing with the whole trust the process concept because we weren't used to it, and I'm totally against it still. But it is what it is. The Spike Eskin can have his little hinky love affair there, but I'm not a big fan of Spike. But overall, it's going to be very interesting. I really can't wait for Monday. It'd be nice tomorrow. I'm going to be on ball fields all day tomorrow, weather permitting. But if not, I'd be watching all the games and watching Red Zone, doing all that good stuff, saying Eagles are better than that team. Eagles are better than that team. I don't really, what is that? Green Bay, possibly Atlanta, Seattle. Well, we'll see how those match up later on this season. But I think they can definitely make a run this year. It's a little bit faster than I thought it would be, and credit to Howie Roseman too. He's done a nice job bringing the right guys in. Not so much players, but it seems like personality guys too, which really makes a big deal. That's an intangible that a lot of GMs, I guess, don't really look at. They just look at the total product rather than personality too, and you can have some decent players without that mesh. You see it with Dallas a little bit, see how once they start losing, who's finger pointing, because that looks like it's just going to be a total shit show. You got that Peter Pan lookalike Ginger down there coaching them, and I think he's going to lose control. To see how things go down there, but I think if that suspension does hold up and Zeke is out, you're going to see Dak isn't as good as a lot of those Cowboy fans think he is. You saw a lot of those little dump passes with him last season, beginning of this season. High percentage stuff, and it's just fine. They did it with Ben when he first started, and I thought they should have done that a little bit more with Carson last year too. But we'll see what happens. If I doubt very much that if Dak's going to be that guy to be able to carry them that far without Zeke in there. But we shall see how it works out. So enjoy Sunday. stress-free Sunday. We just get to watch some games. So, and get to watch the Giants possibly. Probably have a game for the first 5 minutes against Denver, and then I think they're going to be getting shelled. That could be like a 40-point game right there. It won't be, but it could definitely be. So enjoy the weekend. See you guys.